to the StayOnTheCourt.com podcast, the show that helps aging basketball players stay on the court and continue playing basketball or the sport that they love. We talk injuries, rehab, coaching youth sports, pickup game mishaps, and oh yeah, that guy in your court that wants to fight everybody. Our motto is, we don't stop playing because we grow old because we stop playing.
When I went to land, I didn't get my feet right. My feet weren't settled when I landed, and so when I landed, it was my left ankle. Landed inside, but all my weight went outside. So I ended up breaking my fibula. I can feel how loose it was. I knew something wasn't right, and it was more than just a bad sprain. Oh, I immediately regretted that as soon as they started pushing on my ankle. The most excruciating pain I had. Crown Apple would have been perfect at that point. I prioritized balling over a lot of things because it's my love, right? I say this all the time. Basketball is my love. Golf is my passion, right?
Welcome to the StayOnTheCourt.com podcast. This is your host, Troy Wallace. As usual, recording from the beautiful studios in Omaha, Nebraska. Today is our first in-person interview for our series we call Injury of the Week. Injury of the Week.
You cannot be serious!
You're going to want to make sure and check out the YouTube episode and the episode blog post to see some of the pictures from this injury. So I had not seen some of the pictures of what happened after his surgery, and he sent them to me after we did the episode, and oh man, yep, a little bit gruesome, but definitely something to behold. So you definitely want to check that out if you're on the podcast, going over to YouTube, or check the show notes, and you can link over to the associated blog post on StayOnTheCourt.com. So, our guest is Al Peterson III, also known as AP3. He is a PGA-certified golf pro and the director of golf for the Field Club of Omaha, a high-level high school baller who nearly walked on at the Division I NCAA level. Fast forward to his injury playing pickup basketball in late November 2023, where he broke his fibula and then had to have what they call a tightrope procedure to repair his tendons that were tore out. Anytime they have a term for the procedure like tightrope, that does not sound good. You got a little taste from him in the cold open. You have to listen and see those pictures. And today, here's what you're going to learn. Number one. What happened immediately after the injury?
2.
What was the plan to put Al's ankle back together? And if you see the picture, you'll know what I mean.
3.
What did recovery look like for an injury like this?
4.
Why he knows he will return to the game he loves.
5.
Then he just has a really great story of how he transitioned from a focus of basketball to becoming a golf professional, which is no easy feat. Why he sidelined his golf education for a year to try and walk on the basketball team at Division I University of Nebraska. This was just a great all-around conversation. If you're willing to share your story of injury, recovery, or any other interesting war stories from the court, please go to StayOnTheCourt.com/podcast. There you can find a form to fill out, or there's a little button there where you can easily record a voice note to us. We're always looking for new stories. Just to let you know, Al and I look like we were being held hostage in the video clips, as both of us were recording in areas that were under construction. I was actually forced into my car in my garage. It's a much longer story. And we ended up cutting the video a few minutes into the episode just to save some bandwidth. So just to let you know that. But overall, this episode is exactly what I wanted these Injury of the Week episodes to look like. Just a really interesting story with our guest, Al Peterson III. I want to welcome into the StayOnTheCourt.com podcast, Al Peterson III. And number one, Al, I wish that nobody had to appear on this episode that we call Injury of the Week. Injury of the Week.
¿Cómo se llama?
Unfortunately, it happens, and we're happy that you're here to share your story of what went on that day, how your recovery has been. We want to talk about the injury, but let's talk a little bit more about the setup. What kind of pickup basketball court do you play on? Is this noon ball? Is this evening ball? What's your situation as far as the type of pickup ball you're playing right now?
Yeah, so for those listeners not in Nebraska, I know, Troy, you've got a very good demographic of listeners. So we're in Omaha, Nebraska. Pickup is Thursday nights, right? Your normal Thursday night after guys put the kids to bed, whatever it is. We start at 8 o'clock. We play for a couple hours, and it's just pickup ball. Thursday night, church, you just get some runs in. And yeah, it was just kind of one of those things that you don't really plan on, obviously, but freak accidents happen. And to kind of give you a background of the story, so was going up for a rebound. It's me and another guy going up for the same rebound. And as we go up, we just kind of collide shoulders, right? When I went to land, I didn't get my feet right. My feet weren't settled when I landed. And so when I landed, it was my left ankle. Landed inside, but all my weight went outside. So I ended up breaking my fibula.
Oh, jeez. Back it up with the, I don't even know if I want to hear about the fibula breaking again, but let's dig into that one again.
Yeah, so landed inside the ankle on my left leg. My weight went outside. I'm lucky I didn't, mess my knee up because I could feel my knee hit the ground. So landed, initially when it happened, us ball players, we think it's just a bad sprain, right? So when it happened, I immediately just started walking off the court, told the guys I was done, said I'm done, give me a sub, I sit on, pull over to the side, sit down, and immediately text my wife because I know my wife tells me I'm too old to play. And at this point I play like I'm still 18 years old. I'll never get older. But I texted her immediately and said, "Hey, I messed my ankle up. Just a forewarning, the second I get home I need to elevate and ice it," just to kind of give her an idea of, keep her in the loop. In a good marriage it comes down to communication, right?
Yes. And that's never a fun phone call or text to make.
No, not at all, especially when it's 10 o'clock at night, baby girl's asleep, mama bear's in bed, ready to go to sleep, and she gets a text that I'm injured. So, I'm sitting on the side, and I'm putting my shoes on, and I go to attempt to take my shoe off of the left ankle, and I'm like, yeah, I can't do this. I can feel how loose it was. I knew something wasn't right, and it was more than just a bad sprain. So immediately I was like, all right, guys, I need help getting to my car. So a couple guys helped me out to the car, get in the car, drive to the ER, park up front, hobble inside, and I literally hop inside on my good leg. And get it x-rayed, find out it's broken, told the wife what happened. And so broke the fibula down on the outside of the ankle. On the inside, separated my ankle and tore out my tendons. So had surgery. This happened, I think it was like November 30th. It was end of November, beginning of December. Had surgery on the 5th. So the worst part about it is this is 2 weeks before we are supposed to travel international for Christmas. So that was a big one. When I went to the ER, I said, okay, here's two things. If it's broken, I need to have surgery ASAP because we travel internationally in 2 weeks. And I said, number two, I need to drive home tonight. So it was a blessing that I was able to get surgery, a couple days later. And then from there, it was just the road to recovery.
So I know this is real deep, granular detail, but you had the foresight to take yourself to the emergency room. What did they give you a ticket and be like, okay, you're number 41, so take a seat and we can get to you in a couple hours? Or was this something that they were able to get you in there pretty quickly?
Well, luckily, I mean, I have two ways here, Troy. You ready for this? So the first route, got in, checked in. They go through the whole deal of, getting your insurance, figuring out who you are. They pulled me aside, and they could tell I was in some pain. Obviously, I had a broken ankle at that point, and so they could tell there's some pain there. And so they got me in quickly to get the x-ray. Once the x-ray got in, it was probably maybe 15 minutes after I had to wait to actually get taken back. But the worst part about it was they had to splint my ankle that night 4 separate times. I'm going to let that hit a little bit. 4 separate times they had to splint my ankle. So the issue was, because of the way my break was, they couldn't get my ankle in the right position to have a splint on.
Right.
My ankle was there was too much the separation on the inside. They couldn't get it in position. And so the first 3 times that the ortho specialist was trying to get this splint on, by the time it dried and they retook the x-ray, my ankle still wasn't in the right position. So then they brought, this is the 4th time now, they brought someone else in. So I have one person who is pushing on my ankle to get it in the right position. I have another person who's setting the splint in the right spots. And now keep in mind, I told them at the beginning that I wanted to drive home. So that meant they only gave me Tylenol and numbing shots. I walk into the ER. It's 10:15 p.m. I think I left at about 3:30 a.m.
Were you regretting that request to be able to drive home at that point?
Oh, I immediately regretted that as soon as they started pushing on my ankle.
Oh,
Most excruciating
jeez.
pain I had, and it was so rough. But at that point, because we've got a year and a half baby girl at home, mom was at home, taking care of her. It was too last minute. I needed to drive home at that point.
Right.
So it was yeah, it was I'll always remember that part.
Yeah, you would think they would give you maybe at least some leather to bite on, or have some Jack Daniels or something
Right?
there handy to kill some pain
Man, Crown Apple.
as
In
as an
my eyes, Crown
emergency.
Apple would have been perfect at that point.
Yeah, like maybe a whole cabinet of things. Okay, this is for guys who initially said they wanted to drive home, but have now changed their decision.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, geez. So let's take a step back into going up for that rebound. I mean,
Mhm.
should you have been going up for that rebound? Were you really stretching for that rebound? What's the regret level, with that particular
you know,
play?
and the way I put it now, I'm the type of player. I grew up playing basketball. It was my focus. I'll back up a little bit and kind of go, give you my background. I was a
Right.
ball player growing up from the very beginning. I was the type of kid who played on, AAU teams, OSA. I played on 4 different select teams at one point. I wanted to even play in the NBA when I was younger. And then when I got to high school is when I got into the golf industry. Figured out that golf was kind of a
Okay.
lifelong sport. Why not make a career out of it?
Yeah.
And so, long story, kind of put me in the position I am now, which is the director of golf at Field Club of Omaha. But like I said, I always still played basketball. The way I put it, basketball is my love, golf is my passion. And so, growing up playing basketball was, all I wanted to do, and I still play to this day. With the exception of the last few months.
Right.
But going up for the rebound, at that point, I was still playing like I was still 18 years old. I'm 30 years
Right.
old
And
now.
let's
I need to start playing my age. I'm in good shape. I like to say I'm in very good shape. But at that point, I had the rebound when we went up. It was a younger cat that was going against me. He's probably in his 20s, early 20s. Got the rebound, but at the same time, when we bumped shoulders, just didn't get my feet right, and so just landed. It was kind of a freak accident. I did lose the rebound when I landed, but initially I got it.
and that's what counts. Yeah, it's I played high school, just varsity, class A here in Nebraska. No big thing. Definitely wasn't going to college on it or anything like that. But it's hard to lose that competitive thing
Hmm.
or that competitive spirit, and I think it's half the reason, right, that we want to go play basketball for our exercise rather than do something else, right?
Exactly. I'm the type I can't run on a treadmill. It's too boring. There's nothing there. It's the running on a basketball court, being able to shoot and keep that activity is what I look for.
Yeah, I agree. I track my exercise with a Whoop band. I've probably mentioned this in the opening. Al Peterson the third, also called AP3, which is an absolutely fantastic moniker to have.
Yeah.
Is you said you're 30, right? So you would have just qualified to even play on our court on Sunday morning.
Yeah. Well,
At our place, you have to at least be 30, which I think is just a way to keep their super ultra competitive people
sure.
out. If we need an extra guy, trust me, nobody's enforcing that rule.
yeah.
But
Well, it's one of those things too.
yeah,
The
that's
older you
interesting.
get, the smarter you play. I just hadn't gotten to that point yet to where I still, like I said, I still played like I was 18 years old. I like to say
Now,
I got some bunnies, and one of my goals is still to be able to jump after this injury. And we'll kind of touch base on that. But I can dunk. I still got
right.
some elevation to me, so that's kind of the hope. But the older you get, the less you're able to do, and that's what I'm starting to figure out now.
That's true, but also now if you got to think about it, now had you gone to the NBA, you'd only be in your third contract. You'd probably have a couple more contracts left in you.
Exactly, and that's another thing too. The way that the NBA players work out is a lot different than my workout.
Oh, absolutely. So let's go back so you got the rebound initially. Did anything else happen to the other guy?
No, and
Did he come out clean?
that's the shitty part. He came out clean, easy as and that's I wish no harm on anyone at any point in time, but it was one of those things you have no control on. I didn't step on his foot, didn't step on my other foot. I just didn't get my feet right to where I could land clean. And, it is what it is. But, yeah, he was clean. He did not get the rebound, I will say. I remember specifically what happened. I lost the rebound, and we did get it back as a team. We did not score on that possession, but we did get the possession in general. So
The sweet taste of victory.
Totally worth it.
absolutely.
I mean, not really,
to an extent.
but my son came home with some sort of weird hand injury. This was months ago, and I was like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, we were just playing hockey in somebody's basement." I was like, "Well, you were on skates?" Like, no, just kind of messing around. And so he's telling me about what happened, and he was playing goalie, and he somehow kind of went back and got on his wrist and probably sprained his wrist.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, competitive dad. What do I ask?
Oh, he was playing
Did you
goalie.
save it?
Yeah, did you block it?
Yes, he was playing goalie. Did you block it? And he said the right thing. I said, yes, I did.
Attaboy.
No, it's always amazing the stupid things we men will do, right? For the glory of the court. I think I saw you, and you were fully immobilized, right? I mean, you were.
I was. So it started off
wheelchair.
Originally, it started 6 to 8 weeks, no weight bearing. Like I said, I had surgery about December 5th. I got a plate and 4 screws. They did what's called the tightrope procedure for my tendons that were torn out.
Oh, jeez.
Right. And so it was the road to recovery at that point. And I think when we saw each other, it was, I want to say December. So it was shortly after surgery, but maybe before my trip. Does that sound right?
Right.
And so at that point, it was no weight bearing. And so for work purposes, I had a scooter, which I tell you was a lifesaver. But you can only put so much weight on your knee, and I can tell my knee's starting to have some issues after having that scooter around. But yeah, so no weight bearing 6 to 8 weeks. At my 5-week appointment post surgery, I was able to get full ability to start walking and putting weight on. All based on my comfort as far as how much pain tolerance I had. So the
right.
process, the healing process, was a little bit quicker than anticipated, which I think kind of comes back to my age and my the shape I'm in. It definitely helps out for sure.
Yeah, no, I think you are right on that. So now from here on out, I mean, if they put metal in those joints,
Mm-hmm.
right, to reattach everything,
Mm-hmm.
do those have to come out at some point? I mean, does your body just take it in and dispose of it on its own? Or
Yeah, so
how's that
everyone's a
gonna
little
work?
bit different, and it's all based on your healing. At some point later down the line, whether it's a year from now, 2 years, whatever it is, though the plate and screws can come out, but it's all based on if it's causing me pain, right? So
Right.
each person's a little bit different, but I do have the ability to take it out, but then that adds on, more PT, more surgery, the
Right.
whole works.
To the point where they said that you could put weight on it and start walking. What was the rehab? Was there anything special? Was it just complete immobilization, or did they have you do any sort of exercise and physical therapy?
Yeah, so I had the doc gave me a list of physical therapists around that would be a good go-to. And so right now I'm actually still doing just PT at home. So I've got this really cool app that I use that's got 30 plus workouts that are specific to my ankle. A member of mine actually gave me a little insight here and created this profile for me. And so I use that. I try to do that at least 3 to 4 times a week. This last week with the renovation and everything going on, I've slacked a little bit, but I'm on my feet
Right.
almost daily. So I'm constantly moving and working out, and daily I'm getting more flexibility. So I'm getting more movement, less pain, which is really crucial. The toughest thing I tell you was sleeping. Sleeping was hard. A couple days after surgery wasn't bad because everything was still numb. But once things started
Right.
healing and when I could start walking, the pain was just tough at nighttime, especially when you get off those painkillers. And it was a little run through where I might get a couple hour stretches here and there, but it's gotten a lot better in the last couple weeks.
I guess I wouldn't even thought about that. That the pain that far down the line, was it really inflamed in that area
Yeah, so I had some inflammation
after the injury?
After the injury, it didn't really swell up as much as I thought it would. I'd had sprained ankles in the past, like I said, from playing basketball in my history. I'd had more swelling in previous sprained ankles than I did in this break. which was kind of surprising for me. But I mean, to the point, it was still swollen. They had to cut my shoe off, cut my socks off at that point, because I told them, I said, this is kind of a sign. Let's cut the shoe off. I don't need it anymore. This is, I need to get some new shoes and play a little bit smarter. So there was some swelling, but like I said, I'd had worse swelling before. I've had baseballs on my ankles before, and this was not. I mean, it was almost the size of maybe a golf ball. So
all right, now let's really dig into the detail. So that particular day, what type of shoe do you wear? Do you wear a low top? Do you wear a high top? Do you wear ankle braces regularly?
Yep. So I'd always sprained my ankles growing up, and so in high school I always wore ankle braces. But then after high school, I'd gone through a stint where I was going to try to play in college, and I got to the point where I stopped wearing ankle braces because I wanted my ankles to get stronger. I didn't want to have to depend on those ankle braces. I wanted my ankles to get strong and be able to get through. And so I never wore ankle braces. And the night it happened, I was wearing LeBrons, which are a high top shoe, but it was more of a soft high top. So there wasn't really much protection.
Right.
But at that point, no matter what shoe I was wearing, based on that fall and the way I came down, it was inevitable. It
was happening. Yeah. So I think I've had 2 pretty good ankle rolls in the last 7-8 years. I'm on a first name basis with my foot and ankle guy. My theory, and again, listeners, we are not medical people. We're just a couple guys talking, on the internet.
Right.
So don't take this as any sort of advice. But my theory is that I will still wear like lighter ankle braces.
Yep.
And my thought is that it's turning a full roll into maybe just a little tweak,
right?
Or the thing that would have tweaked would be just a nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory.
Absolutely,
but, I think it's all just mental.
And that's where I think I'm going to move to eventually. Because I get asked the question, especially at work, because everyone asks, are you going to still play? And it's like, yeah, I think I'm going to still play to that point, but I'm going to play smarter and play more my age, but I think I'm still going to have that protection. So I'm going to have to dust off the ankle braces, bring them back out. We'll see what happens.
That's well, number one, I'm sorry that had to happen to you. But I think it is interesting for listeners to hear. We don't want this to happen to anybody else, but if somebody gets in this situation, just hearing this and kind of understanding what the process is and what happened and living through your experience, I think will definitely help other people.
For sure.
I'm going to double click on trying to play college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Because did you go to a large university or?
So I graduated from UNL, University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
I will qualify that as large.
Yeah, I majored in PGA golf management. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm a director of golf at Field Club of Omaha. We're a private club in Omaha, 18-hole facility. Golf, like I said, getting into high school, golf I wanted to see as more of a passion. It was, something I could make a job out of. But playing basketball so much, I missed it. So after my freshman year of college, I had gotten out of the PGM program and had just taken kind of your gen ed classes and really focused on basketball. I was working out, living with some of the basketball guys. For those fans that are listening, guys like Jordan Tyrants, David Rivers, Leslie Smith. During that era, this was Tim Miles' first year coming to coach for Nebraska.
Yeah. I remember Leslie Smith. He was a big dude.
Yeah, he was. He's playing in Jamaica. Shout out to Les.
Steal by Smith. 2-on-1 if he hurries. Smith lays it in.
One of the roommates still keep in touch, but so basketball was my thing, and I wanted to get back to it. I had missed it so much, so I was keeping in contact with the coaching staff, working out with the guys, my roommates at the time, and was really working out. I bulked up to about 195, and at that point was all muscle. And I was very confident in, my ability to make the team. And so was talking to the coaching staff and, keeping in contact on when walk-on tryouts would come about. Well, long story short, the time when walk-on tryouts were supposed to happen, there was no room on the roster. At the time, with Tim Miles, it being his first year of coaching, they had 14 guys on the roster. And so at that point, they didn't have any movement available. And so that was more for me a sign from God to kind of stick with golf, focus on that. It's a lifelong sport, something I could, make a career out of. If I played basketball, I didn't know what I was going to do outside that. And so
Right.
it was a blessing in disguise. I'm not a big guy. I'm 6'1" at that point when I was walking on, 6'1", 195. So I wasn't going to make a big impact to look long term for basketball. And so that was just more of a wake up call for me, and got back into the program, and then ended up graduating, getting my PGA membership, and stuck on the golf industry.
So, number one, I would have never thought, like, Nebraska, kind of known as an agricultural school, and I know they have good business and engineering, but had no idea that they had a golf management program. Was
Yeah.
that something that was fairly new when you got into it?
Yeah, so the golf program has been around since early 2000s. Brought on, we're one of 18 universities still in the nation that does a PGM program. The difference with Nebraska, though, which I think is really valuable, is we're based out of the College of Agriculture, whereas most of the other
Oh, okay.
colleges are based out of the College of Business, right? And I think
Right.
being a golf pro, having that background in agriculture and turfgrass management really puts you ahead of the game. Just being able to understand the background of it. And so that's kind of the big difference.
Right.
But yeah, UNL is one of those universities that offers that. So any listeners here, if you have any young bucks that are looking to, figure out what they want to do and they have a passion for golf, get in the program. The program is phenomenal. Through the program, you have to complete some internships, work through to get your degree. But yeah, it's a great program.
I would have never thought about that, but that makes perfect sense, right? I mean, I'm not saying that, in a way, you're farmers, right? You're
Yeah,
farming grass,
absolutely.
like beautiful.
And there's so many different routes
and
you can go to.
understanding that.
And that's the beauty of it, within the industry. It's not just golf, right? When you think golf industry, you think strictly, playing golf. Whereas the beauty of it, there's so many different avenues, whether it's merchandising, whether it's, superintendent side, whether it's whatever the case is, the golf industry offers so many different options. So that program is one option that definitely I think young guns should look into.
As a matter of fact, I think that my daughter is going to enter your sphere here next summer. We're trying to keep her interested in something sport related, and one of her little friends wants to play, and she's going to be going to 9th grade. So
Okay.
I'm not sure she aspires to be a high school golfer,
Mhm.
but she gets to hang out with her friend. We like it because she gets out and gets some sunshine in the summer.
Absolutely.
And these are her words. She gets to wear cute clothes.
Hey,
so that's,
there you go. I tell you, one of the sayings I think for all golfers listening, the saying: you look good, you feel good, you play good.
Oh, this is the worst looking hat I ever saw. Oh, it looks good on you, though.
There you go. And so it is a win-win-win situation. So I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Well, hey,
that is something.
If she ever needs a job, let me know when she gets her license.
Oh yeah. Oh boy, I'm not. I got a couple years for that. I'm not looking forward to that at all. The job, yes. The license, no. So let's go back a little bit to you're a golf pro. I mean, a real deal PGA certified golf pro. Does that mean that you are a scratch golfer? Does that even the equation when you're getting PGA certified?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And that kind of brings me back to my background. I was a type of guy. I was a late bloomer to golf. I did not get into golf until high school. Whereas a lot of times you always say you want your juniors to get into golf sooner. The sooner they can get into golf, the better. They have a nice background, a nice little road to work on. But golf was. Let me back up. Being so competitive in basketball, when I tried out for the golf team in high school, I barely made the team. And when I say barely made the team, I think Steve Lebitz to this day, and I'm going to put him on the spot, Steve Lebitz, I think, let me join the team out of pity. And so being so competitive, I did not like coming in last place. And so that's where I got a job at a golf course. My first job was Bay Hills Golf Club in Plattsmouth, Nebraska, just south of Bellevue. And so got a job there, told the golf pro, hey, I will do whatever you want. I'll keep it very PG here, but I'll do whatever you want as long as you give me full practice and playing privileges. And so told him my goals and what I wanted, and literally spent all day, every day, all summer working on my game from sun up to sundown. And I think that's what really drove my passion for the game, was seeing that improvement. And I ended up making varsity my sophomore to senior year. And so that I think is what really drove my passion for the game, seeing that improvement and that, seeing myself excel in a game I really hadn't been around my whole life. And so to answer your question now, yes, I am a scratch golfer. With this injury, it's put a little roadblock on my game right now, but I'll be good to go by spring is the plan. With the new position stepping in, I've been at Field Club for about a year and a half now, creeping up on a year and a half. With a new daughter, she'll be 2 in June. It's put a little hold up on my game. I still got some game, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I'm a scratch golfer.
I've got a little quiz for you here a little later. It's going to impact maybe one of my questions. I may have to modify it now that I know you're a scratch golfer. Did the injury, has it impacted? I know thankfully it's in the winter, so you're not on the course. What impact did that have on your day-to-day work life?
Yeah, from a work life standpoint, it was a huge impact. And a lot of that comes back to we're going through a clubhouse renovation right now. And so with that being said, a golf shop has transitioned to a new space in the clubhouse. And so thank God for my assistant. Whereas during this time, when I broke my ankle was during the peak time where we had a lot of movement, whether it was moving the golf shop location, moving things in the clubhouse that we needed to transition for the renovation for construction purposes. So it definitely had a huge impact on work, especially because I was only able to move around on a scooter. I was in a boot and scooter and couldn't put any weight on my foot. So it definitely changed things. When we talk about at home, it definitely changed things with a year and a half old baby girl. Mom was doing a ton of work because, I can't walk. And so, talk about dinner, you talk about changing, you talk about getting up the steps. I couldn't carry Alina up the steps because I couldn't walk. So it was a huge impact. And, I give all praise to my wife for holding it down during that time. But yeah, I do not recommend
Very appropriate on Valentine's Day.
Yes, absolutely. We've got date night tonight that I'm looking forward to. So, all kudos to her, but it is not fun. I don't recommend it to anyone, especially if you have a newborn or toddler at home. But yeah, it was a transition that we had to figure out, and obviously no one plans for it, but it is what it is, and we ended up making through. I've been walking now for about 3.5 weeks, and it's been a game changer.
Did you look into any other sorts of, I'll call them alternative therapies, any sort of red light therapy, cold plunge, cryotherapy, anything like that to try and speed up recovery?
I haven't yet, and I think a lot of that is just because it's been the off season with everything going on. I haven't had the time to really jump into anything. One of the things I really want to do is pool, right? Working pool workouts, getting some work in the water. For the first, it might have been 2.5 weeks, it was about 2.5 weeks after surgery, maybe 3 weeks. I couldn't plunge my foot in anything because of obviously the incisions. They want the incisions to heal up, so you can't take a bath. You can't, plunge your foot in anything other than taking a shower. So I could only have that light access to water. But yeah, I definitely want to dive in, especially when we talk about this summer. Try to set some time aside to get in and try to get it back to, as close to 100% as I can.
I just recently on the podcast, and yours will probably be released before hers is, but there is a therapist, and she's a light therapist, more red light therapy and laser therapy up in Edmonton, Alberta, and just really extraordinary. Some of her, I'm not going to call them breakthroughs, but she was a massage therapist, and she's applied what she's learned in massage therapy to some laser therapy things, and just really interesting things that I would have never thought about.
For sure.
Couple more questions for you. I know you get date night tonight, so we'll get you going on to that. But a couple of other things I'm interested in. So playing pickup basketball or, basketball in general. I mean, obviously you played in high school, your relationships there, took a shot at playing college. But now that you're playing more pickup ball, one of my thoughts on pickup ball is, you get the exercise, but another big thing is kind of camaraderie, some social connections, and in some cases, business connections. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Actually, one of the guys I play with on Thursdays is another PGA professional in the section. Another Omaha-bred gentleman who is in the Nebraska section, and so it's one of those things that you make connections all throughout the world. You talk about the golf industry in specific. It's a very small, tight-knit network. And I think
Right.
that's one of the things that adds to basketball too. Whether it's, I've coached girls basketball in the past and want to get back into coaching. It's one of those things that'll stick around for sure. But the camaraderie is definitely one of the highest points. You go out with the boys. One of the guys I play with on that Thursday too is one of my best friends. I'm a godfather to his son, and so it's just that camaraderie, that fun time. Plus, you get to disconnect a little bit from the work atmosphere, the family. You're just out having a good time, and adding a little bit of lifestyle action on making yourself better by working out.
Yeah, it's it's interesting. I go both ways. So I've made some business connections through the years, but I also kind of like the anonymity, right? Because the basketball court is a equalizer,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you don't necessarily know who the guy is. So I've had situations where I've played and the guy I didn't know at the time, but he was like the chief financial officer of the company I was working for. But I would just see him on the court,
Yep.
and all I knew about him is like I can't let him take baseline. Right? I can't let him take baseline. That's all I knew about him.
That's one of those things too. Some of the guys that come up, I had a member come up and play one of those nights. It's like, oh, well, hey, what do nice to see you. I didn't know you come up here too. Just it's the random things that you run into, and that's even living in Nebraska. You run into anyone and everyone.
Yeah, there is as a matter of fact, so our court got blown up during COVID, just like everybody else's did, and then the place we played at, it sold out to another fitness chain, and just went downhill from there. And I just ran into a guy at a JV game last night, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Corey got everybody back together, and they made a deal at this place called I can't remember, the Vertical Max or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and they've completely reorganized." And my wife is amazed. She's like, "We can't get you guys to take out the trash." Right? But somehow you guys can magically make all this stuff happen, and you get these courts going, and everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of those things too, obviously, as bad as it sounds, us guys prioritize things. And I think when for guys that are ballers, I prioritize balling over a lot of things because it's my love, right? I say this all the time. Basketball is my love. Golf is my passion, right? Everyone has their hobbies and their their needs. But yeah, basketball is one of those things. And as much as my wife hates to hear it, I'm not going to stop playing until I literally can't walk anymore. You see those videos going across with, I won't say old guys, I'll say wise guys, because the older you get, the wiser you get. Those guys on the court still playing, even though they're, walking up and down the court, they're still out there having a good time.
Oh, absolutely. And, the court I'm playing on now, we go, there's, probably early 30s to, some of the guys have to be getting close to 70. Some people will, yeah. And some people, not at this court in particular, but some courts I've played on, is they'll try and rearrange games and work around guys that they don't want on your team. I'm like, it's ridiculous, right? I'm really happy when I see somebody playing in their 50s, 60s, 70s. That gives me hope, right?
Absolutely.
That's it's something I can continue to do.
When I grow up, I want to be like that.
So, there's another person I interviewed a couple weeks ago that his episode will come out soon. Wasn't really basketball related, but he was a Division I swimmer for the University of Texas.
Oh, okay.
And we really just talked about he ended up getting burnout. They live in the Vail, Colorado area, and he's kind of reformed a team, but they just really kind of practice. But they try and treat it like, get that old camaraderie back, and they all show up at the pool at 6 a.m. And he's the first to say that if they didn't have that camaraderie or these other people, there's no way he'd get up at 6 a.m. to go to the pool.
Right, exactly. It's like sometimes when I lived in St. Louis working, I would get up at 4:30 a.m. to go hoop at 5, play until about 6:37, and then go to work. And it's like the things you do for the things you love are different. You talk about guys will make tee times for 6:30 a.m. and they won't have any issues for that, but might struggle getting to work the next day.
Yes, yes, I agree. Yeah, I have tried the early morning ball, and that does not agree with my body. Someday it might. Hey, Al, we'll get you out of here, but I have we're going to put 30 seconds up on the imaginary clock, and we'll
Okay.
go kind of rapid fire with 5 questions that I thought might be fun.
Boom. I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
1,
Number 1, if you can only watch one league for the rest of your life, is it NCAA or NBA basketball?
NBA.
NBA.
Yeah,
Oh, an
I'm one of
NBA
those
guy.
guys.
All right.
I'm one of those guys.
2,
Best NBA player ever: LeBron, Jordan, Kobe, or other?
Oh my God, this comes up. You ask right now, LeBron.
LeBron. Yes, that
LeBron.
seems to be
And
where
this
things
can
are
go so many
trending.
different directions, right? There's so many different arguments in this league right now. LeBron, the things he's doing are unreal, but no diss to Kobe or MJ. I grew up. My old email that I used in high school was Laker Man, right? So, right now LeBron.
Yeah, I heard it. The argument I heard made for LeBron the other day was, "Hey, nobody's doing this at age 39."
It's
right?
unreal, and
Jordan
it
wasn't
gives
doing
us
it.
hope, Troy.
Yes.
It gives us hope.
Yeah, I know. What gives you hope?
Well,
I think I'm now fully
it's
aged
possible.
out.
I mean, the man's still going to be able to play till he's like 48. So, I mean,
That's true.
realistically,
That is true. All right, now here's a tough one.
3,
Your most dreaded pickup court matchup. I'm going to give you 3 options. Remember, it's your most dreaded.
Okay.
Super sweaty guy who has already played 3 games. Guy who hard fouls you on every possession and then says, "My bad." Number 3 is X-Division 1 college female player.
ooh, give me the super sweaty guy. I'm a competitive.
super sweaty
I'm a
guy.
go-getter. I'm a slasher. So that's super sweaty. I'd pass.
4,
So your game, going to the hoop or taking the 3?
Before or after injury?
Yeah, I thought you might say that.
Before injury, going to the hoop. After injury, shooting the 3.
That's right. As you age, that's what happens. That's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I might know the answer to this one.
5,
Which is the lower number, average points in a pickup game or your golf handicap?
Definitely golf handicap. Yeah, like I said, we've got some game on both sides, both the basketball court and the golf course. The handicap is definitely lower than the average points.
That is fantastic. Al Peterson III, AP3. This is what I want this show to be all about. I really appreciate you coming on. I'm going to do a quick commercial. If you're hearing this and you're willing to share your story, I don't want anybody to be injured, but if you have a good war story from the court or an injury, we'd love to have you on the show. If you want to go to stayonthecourt.com/podcast, there's a way to submit a form or a little thing where you can just do a little audio piece to let us know. We'd certainly appreciate you doing that. And Al, is there anything you want to share before we sign off here? Again, I really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the ask. I was excited to hop on and join the podcast. Like I said, if there's any advice you need, whether it's golf or basketball, let me know. I've got some game. I still coach. Any advice I can give, just keep grinding, right? Do what you're capable of. Play your age. That's the advice I give. Play your age.
We're going to leave them with that. Play your age. All right. We will sign it off.
Thanks, Troy.
Here we go.